Let's ask the question bluntly. Are we using our resources optimally?
I think it's a tough one. It's yes and no. We're certainly not creating in this country, if we look at sub-Saharan Africa or South Africa, an enabling environment for our resources to flourish. I think the regulatory bodies are more about control as opposed to enablement and facilitation. Whereas I think that stems from various fears which we can debate, but some of those might be China, some of those might be post-colonization. But I certainly think we're not taking as much advantage as we should be to try and get Africa, South Africa, out of the doldrums.
Let's use two of our biggest exports. We've got oil that we export out of Africa. We also have a lot of iron ore that's leaving our shores going to the east. And we also have added recently coal. What could we be doing there?
Well, I think the question here is around what's our focus. I mean, we all know that the litmus test of any growing economy is whether it has energy generation or not. Our exports, unfortunately, we're not price makers, we're price takers. And that makes a big difference in terms of the global geopolitical game. So I think what's important is that we actually grow our energy sector, because if you look at any kind of growth that's taken place around the world, it's focused around energy. Without energy, there is no growth.
Lumkile, do we have the money?
The money is not an issue. Because if you allow...
So what is it? Is it expertise?
No, it's not expertise.
What is it?
It's a government regulation. That because government is not doing its job of making sure that the environment is enabling, as Matthew was saying, then we don't have investment. I mean, there's a project, a wonderful project in the Congo through the INGA, where we've been talking for the past 5 years that, you know, we can actually power the whole of the continent and also provide water for agriculture. Yeah. And the politics continue to drag on and drag on and drag on. So therefore, leadership and enabling environment of Africa will be a better country, will be able to feed a lot of our people, take them out of poverty, and be able to really compete with the other continents. Asia is catching up. Latin America is far ahead from us. So we need to catch up. Africa has to wake up, and wake up by making sure that the private sector is welcome and Africa is open for business.
Matthew, if you're advising African governments, and I hope you are advising some of them, what would you be telling them? Would you be delivering the same message that Lumkile is talking about?
I think very similar to Lumkile. I think it's about competition, it's about global competitiveness, and I think that needs to permeate into government sectors. It is a global game we're playing, especially around the commodities, especially around solid minerals, and I think there needs to be less self-enrichment and more nation building and more nation enrichment.
Where are the deficits, do you think? Let's name the countries if we can.
Well, I think, you know, we've got our strongholds: Nigeria, Kenya, Angola, South Africa, Zambia. They're doing quite well. We obviously know some of the basket cases, you know, around, particularly around areas like the DRC. We see, unfortunately, areas that are so resource rich seem to have the most problems because probably there's most at stake.
But the classic case is Nigeria, big oil exporter and a net importer of oil, the finished product.
I think Nigeria is on a precipice. I think it's got everything to do well and everything to do badly, and I think it's up to Nigerians to choose which path they want to take. One thing's for sure is that Nigeria is certainly eyed out South Africa and from an African context and wants to be #1 on the map. And I don't think we as a country have woken up to that kind of competitiveness, that they want faster broadband, they want faster ports, faster rails, and healthier arteries in their country.
Yeah. One of the questions I've been asking is what countries should be doing with the strong currencies that we're currently seeing. For instance, in South Africa, we've got a very strong rand, and all we hear is let's weaken the rand, let's weaken the rand. But could we be doing more to work with that strong rand? Let's get 2 quick answers. Let's begin with you, Matthew, and then come to Lumkile.
Okay, I feel quite strongly about this topic, and we've seen a lot of debasement or devaluing of a currency purely because they want to pump up nominal GDP rates. And obviously we know exports go straight into GDP. I totally disagree with that point. I think that you cannot grow to prosperity by devaluing your currency. It used to be that economies used to have a stronger currency so that you could have less, have more, buy more with less toil, with less effort. And I think we're seeing that's a short-term view. It shouldn't be a long-term gain, and we wouldn't want to get into a currency war where we're deepening our pockets.
Lumkile.
We need infrastructure, we need competition, and therefore we expect governments to open up the power sector, the transport sector, because if South Africa is going to be up there that's going to be the areas where we lower the cost of doing business so that businesses can continue to compete and attract foreign direct investment to eradicate unemployment, poverty, and inequality.
So it's the same question that we have been saying: create the right conditions, create the regulatory framework that enables this money to come, not just as hot money, but actually money that's going into industry.
Very much.
We often see that in emerging markets, politics drives economics. We see that in the Western world, the developed markets, that it's the other way around. So it's so important to get the politics, the regulation, the leadership right, that will create an enabling environment for our resource sector and energy to grow.